We are absolutely thrilled to be able to welcome the producers, the creative team, and the cast of The Last Ship to Chicago, giving Chicago the first opportunity to see this masterful work.
Hi, I'm Hedy Weiss, theater and dance critic for the Chicago Sun-Times, and it is my great pleasure to welcome Sting to Chicago. He's no stranger here, but he is here for the pre-Broadway tryout of The Last Ship. Welcome.
Hi, Hedy.
Hi. I was, reading a great deal about the history of the show, and I thought really it's been in gestation for more than 2 decades because Soul Cages was really maybe where it started. Is that true?
I think it goes even further back than that. I was born and raised next to a shipyard, and I would often wonder why I was there. Thinking,
You mean who dropped you there?
I don't want to end up working in that shipyard. Maybe I belong somewhere else. And yet I was fascinated by the giant ships that block the end of my street. And so I've worked it out. I was there to witness something that was quite extraordinary, even though at the time I wanted to escape. So the irony is to find my muse again, I went back to a place I'd spent so much energy trying to leave. But it was an extraordinary place to grow up, and I now want to tell that story. I think it's a compelling story.
It's really interesting because the sound of the show is not Broadway sound. It has a lot of Celtic in it. There are reels and jigs. And did you talk to the orchestrator about what you wanted for the show?
It was important for me that the music reflected the area I come from, and there's a very rich folk tradition there, a local folk tradition. There was a lot of Irish immigration and Scottish immigration, so the music is very, very rich. I also tip my hat to musical theatre. There's a lot of chromaticism in the thing. So it's a mixture of folk music, theatre music, world music. It's very me.
When you hear the album, you think this is an amazing song cycle and it has kind of a loose narrative. When did you say this is not just a song cycle, this is a musical?
Well, the impetus to write the whole thing was basically that it could end up as a play. Uh-huh. And so that's really what charged me up, that it could be a play.
And also because you put the album out first and because you really have first rights on the songs in many ways, and then the PBS concert, I think it must be a little difficult for the cast. They must be a little intimidated.
I hope they're not intimidated. The songs were written for other people to sing. I'm a little bit intimidated because I realize that I don't have a function. Once the songs are written and I've handed them over to the actors, I just have to sit there, which is unusual for me. I'm used to. I'm actually used to being in the spotlight. So it's a good lesson for me.
And so there is also a very severe break between father and son because the son does not want to follow in the father's footsteps. Was that something that you actually experienced?
Oh, I had a difficult relationship with my dad, but everybody else in the street had difficult relations with their dads too. Mm-hmm. It was a generation that found it difficult to express love, even though they clearly loved us. They found it difficult to express it. And also, I was from a generation who had wild ambitions to conquer the world, and the father would not quite understand the breadth of that ambition. It seemed like some pie in the sky,
Jimmy now and it's his wife, right, who's the
Yes.
other character. So are they the father-mother figures, or who are they?
No, they are. Jimmy Nail plays the foreman of the yard. His wife is played by Sally Ann Triplett. It's called Peggy, and she's the health and safety officer.
This show, if I may, this show's about love stories. It's about the central one between Gideon and Meg, but it's also about Jackie and Peggy's love story. And it's about the community's love for a way of life that's dwindling and dying. So it's all about love stories, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right, and it's nice that there's an older love story,
But-
a story that's been going on for
It's
quite
seasoned,
some time,
yeah.
and to see
a different kind of love.
Yeah.
Did you put the team together for the director and the choreographer, or was that something that had you seen their work, or?
You know, we drew up a list, a wish list of the people at the top of their profession.
Right.
They happen to be here right now.
Right,
you know,
right.
people didn't even dream that we'd get. Stephen Hoggart is fantastic, and Mantello is, you know, one of the most successful and
Right.
esteemed directors on the scene today.
Now, you have done a lot of the physical work. I mean, I can see from Black Watch that this is a very, you know, shipbuilding is a very physical profession, and they needed something from you that was physical.
There's a very obvious palette that's required for a show like this. It's maleness and it's working class and it's kind of its geography is very specific. So in lots of ways, there's not a lot in real terms. There's not a lot to talk about. You know, and talk is cheap.
Right,
to a
right,
choreographer.
right.
So it's you have to just get on with it.
And is there do you see them actually working? Is there something that suggests them actually working?
Yeah, that was, it was, you know, it's the kind of heart of the show is that these men that go back to work under their own auspices. So that's essential for us. That's essential to the story.
Right. Now, is the set a big physical set so you really feel the shipyard?
I think what it allows is that it gives a certain scale when we need it, and there are definitely places in the musical where it needs to open up and you need to feel the breadth of the space. But there's also a real intimacy to it, and it's very simple. We tried to find the right balance between the kind of the poetry and the grittiness. It is a musical. But it is a musical about a very, very specific community, so that's a tricky balance to find.
Right. Is all the fame sometimes sort of a hassle? Like, can you walk down a street in Chicago and not feel like you're going to be attacked?
I kind of demand my citizens' rights to walk down any street, and I do. And I don't have
You're not in a fishbowl.
bodyguards or posse of people. I like to be on my own. Right. And I think people generally accept that and they appreciate that and just say hello or whatever. Occasionally I'll get asked for a selfie, you know, which is okay, but they never work first time.
Right, of course. Never. Well, thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you, Hedy.
And I'm wondering, is there like a little terror or a little thrill about seeing it up there finally?
Oh, I think terror and joy in equal measure. It's a frightening thing. It's a huge risk, but nothing worthwhile is devoid of risk.